Hey guys, what's up? It's Looney TNT. So today we're gonna talk about Legion. I'm gonna give my thoughts on the entire expansion. I'm doing a Q&A video tomorrow. That's when I'm making it. So if you guys search my channel, you'll see a video that says leave a question here. Leave your questions there. I'm gonna be answering them tomorrow, and that video should be up either tomorrow or the next day. But today, I'm going to talk about Legion. I'm going to talk about everything that I remember, and we're going to go over in detail a lot of different things. And I'm going to miss a lot, but I'm going to get a lot too. So, the reason I'm talking about this is 7.3.5 is out. It's been out for, this week it's come out. And I think that's going to be the last patch that we're going to get. The beta is going to be starting for the next expansion here pretty soon. We already know what the next expansion is. A lot of different things are going on with that. So, let's talk about it. So, let's start from the very beginning. Let's talk about the leveling, the artifact weapons, artifact power. There was a lot of new things introduced in this expansion. Artifact weapons were huge. You know, we had to get our artifact weapon. We had to train that up. Artifact power points. So we had AP that we had to grind out. It was insane, and I remember going through the leveling process and doing the different zones, and I thought the zones were amazing. So, can we go just to... Yeah. I thought these zones were cool. We started off with, these ones, and then we had to go to Suramar at the end. I think I started leveling in Stormheim. Or was it High Mountain? No, I think it was Stormheim. I did the leveling there. I did the quests. Overall, it was a really fun zone. I like the atmosphere. I like the Halls of Valor feel kind of, in the different areas. I thought this zone was really good. And we moved to High Mountain. High Mountain was... It was good. It was good. It was frustrating getting around at times, especially when you had to go through caves. But it was just, it's gorgeous when you fly off the top mountain. Or, like, I don't even have flying yet. I know some people might think that's noob. I didn't need it. We had that little whistle that got us everywhere, and it was just... I enjoyed the ground and going through those areas. I know flying makes things way easier, but I enjoyed the process that they gave us for these zones. This zone right here was another good one. Not one that I explored a lot though. This was actually my not least favorite. It's just the zone that I went to the least. But it did have cool things, like Blackrook Hold, how they had that little arena down there for PvP and stuff. That was cool, and this is where our very first raid was, the Emerald Nightmare. And we'll talk about the Emerald Nightmare in a little bit, but it was just a great zone. Really good zone. Not one that I explored a lot, but it was a good zone when I was there. This zone right here, it had that water fill, that's actually where I'm in, well, kind of where I'm at. I'm all the way down where that rare mob spawned in the very beginning of the expansion. But this zone was cool because it had a nice, like, I don't know, it just gave me that water feel. It's surrounded by water, as you see. It was a really great feel. I like water zones that you don't have to swim everywhere. I like water zones that you're just kind of exploring, and I like the beach IRL and stuff. So this was a really good zone for me. Now, Suramar was a zone that you guys are going to hear this and you're going to be like, what? I never completed the Suramar questline. I never did. I didn't care to. I didn't need to. I'm like, why would I do that? I'm not going to do that. But this was a area that was very interesting. Had like its own its own city, as it says, which became a Court of Stars and things like that, and it was a good one. This was a really good zone, and all the daily quests. I do not do daily quests anymore. I have not done daily quests for a very long time. They did give us the option, these options right here, and they, like, the caches will give you mounts and stuff. But I felt over time these rewards kind of became obsolete, especially when we started getting into the new zones and things like that. I didn't feel these were worth doing unless you're trying to grind out the mount. I didn't, you know, just not for me. It wasn't something that I continued to grind. Now, I did all the leveling, and I thought the leveling process was great. I think they did a great job. The scaling, I believe that was this the first expansion that they did scaling. I don't think WoD had it, but they had scaling in all the zones, so it didn't matter what level you were, you could start on any of those zones. And it was such a cool feature to be able to go to any zone you wanted and actually be able to progress in your storyline or anything that you needed to do. So I thought they did a great job with that. Coming off, leveling, getting to 110, great job. I think they did a great job. And then we had the first raid. We had the Emerald Nightmare. Some say this was the easiest raid that they've ever done. And it was very easy, right? I think when you look back on mythic kills and stuff like that, it was completed, you know, the first week it was out or something like that. But, you know, I'm not a mythic raider. A lot of us aren't mythic raiders. Some of us try to claim we are, but you're not. But overall, doing this, this was a very interesting raid for me. It was an easy raid. We cleared it every week, but there was a lot of tension in the guild I was in. There were some players that were not doing what, not necessarily what they were supposed to do, but there was a lot of players that were having certain harder times on different content, and it kind of, you know, people kind of butted heads on this. Even though this was an easy one, people were butting heads in my guild. So as a player, this was a very interesting raid tier for me. I like the raid tier. I thought it was okay, but you know, there was some controversy in it. This is where I got, I don't think it's on the loot table, but this is where I got my shoulders. Everybody asked where I got my shoulders. I actually got it from this raid, Heroic, off of Xaphius. And this will be my transmog for a very long time. And I got this transmog out of this expansion with the Mage Tower and with Xaphius shoulders. So I'm super happy about that. I was not a transmog guy. The people who watched, man, I still have that issue with my camera spinning. The people that watched my videos from the beginning, you guys know that I was not a transmog guy. But I did transmog this expansion, and, you know, we have a Looney TNT transmog set for Demon Hunter. So that was pretty cool. Now, let's talk about the greatest thing that they implemented, because they had this at the same time that we had the raid, the very first raid, Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus has changed throughout the expansion. This key right here, let's say I did this key and we failed. I would have a depleted key, and I would have no key for the rest of the week. They changed that eventually for people leaving and stuff, which was a great idea. They also changed AP giving on the dungeons. If you guys remembered, Ma's Souls was the best AP grinding machine in the game. If you wanted artifact power and you wanted to gain those traits, Ma's Souls was the place to be. And let's go ahead and check out that dungeon real quick. Let's go to dungeons, and let's go to Ma's Souls. So personally, I have done this hundreds and hundreds of times. I know people say that they did, like, I've grinded this hundreds of times, and then you look at their logs and you're like, dude, you've only done it like 15. I've literally done this, I think, about 300, 400 times when I was grinding out my legendaries and I was grinding out my artifact power. It was crazy. And it was the fastest you could do it. You could do, it doesn't matter if you do twos, threes, fours. The lower you are, the faster it goes, the more AP you got. It was grindy, but I didn't mind it. Your weapon, your artifact weapon, can I click this? Yes. So your artifact weapon, this was a newer thing too. And I don't even have 75, I'm a noob. This was a very interesting system. This thing right here did not exist. What we had is we had this. And every time you put something into this, you became extremely strong. Your hit points, your damage, everything, healing, whatever you were doing, became extremely strong. And I believe it stacked to like 20 or something. So I remember I had a max weapon, and I put tons of work in. And the people that didn't put tons of work in, I had a huge advantage. Blizzard did not like that. They want the casuals to be as powerful as the players that put in a lot of time. So what they did was they changed it, and all this is just different now. And it's a good system. I like the system. Crucible, we'll get to it, if I remember. Let's talk about the next thing, though, that was out at the beginning of the expansion that was interesting. Legendaries! So, if I had to sum up the expansion, good or bad, that's the only options I had to say. I'd have to say this was a good expansion. If you asked me if I could change one thing about the entire expansion, it would be legendaries. Now, let's talk about these legendaries here. These legendaries were great. They were fun. There was a lot of cool things about the legendaries that I loved. I loved different things about these legendaries. The neck is one of my favorites. Every 30 seconds, you gain an absorption shield for 25% of your maximum health for 30 seconds. Great! This is cool. This is a cool neck. You look at the shoulders. Your meta goes down. All these did some extremely cool things. The problem is they were very random. How you got these, as you guys know, and for the people that are watching this for the first time and you guys are already in battle for Azeroth, it was just RNG. You would kill monsters from dungeons and you had a chance for it to drop. One of the worst systems Blizzard has ever done, in my opinion. It was absolutely ridiculous. And if you are not lucky, because when you have items like this, all these are cool. The problem is there will always be a best. You could always have good, everything could all be good, but there's only one that is the best. And if you did not get your best, this ring right here for Demon Hunters, if you did not get the best, then it wasn't good, right? So the legendary system was fantastic. I loved grinding them out in the beginning. I was like, this is cool, until someone gets the best in slot ring for Demon Hunter and you didn't have it, and you were not able to keep up with them, right? Then it was not fun. Then it's like, I need my best in slot legendary or I can't keep up. And I feel a lot of people felt that way. And a lot of people quit Toons to restart Toons because the RNG, it was insane. It was the wild, wild west of World of Warcraft when it came to getting legendaries. It was one of the most frustrating things. And you were very sad if you did not get the legendary you wanted. The legendaries were always supposed to be that, yeah, I got a legendary. I can honestly tell you, on my Demon Hunter, I have 2 legendaries that I want. If I get another legendary right now, if I got 5 legendaries in a row off one drop, I'd be like, meh. They're going in the bank or they're staying in my bags. That's how I feel right now about legendaries. And I think a lot of people have that feeling. So, legendaries, a great idea, a great concept. They were not done very well. And I think I think it was the worst part of Legion. I honestly do. I think it could have been one of the best parts, but it turned into just absolute garbage. All right, so let's go ahead and go right into the next raid. Let's go ahead and go into this raid right here. I'm going to miss a lot of stuff. If you guys are like, oh, you missed that, you know, leave it in the comments and maybe I'll come back and make a later video. I'm just kind of going off the fly on what I'm thinking, right? Trial of Valor. This was a great raid. It was a cool raid. 3 bosses. This first boss right here, he was in a dungeon, and we did not kill him, but he came back. There's 2 bosses, Maw Souls here and Halls of Valor. So I don't think we ever saw this guy anywhere else, but I'll get to this guy in a second. The first boss here was a great fight. It was. If people were colorblind, you screwed up crazy. But overall, I thought that the fight was designed really well. I thought this whole raid was really good. The loot was a little bit better, so we're still doing Emerald Nightmare, still coming in this one. Great. Let's skip to Helia for a second. Skip to second boss. This was cool, hard fight. For casual players, it was a nightmare, just because there was a lot of things going on. But like for just a regular raider, nothing hardcore, I had tons of fun with this fight. Tons of fun. So overall, great fight. This guy right here. This guy, let's talk about him. My favorite fight in the entire expansion. I loved this fight. Patchwork fight, very simple, very few mechanics, but very painful mechanics. And I like easy mechanics, but they're super, super, like, what this boss did is threw out 3 colors. You stood in the color. If you didn't stand in the same color the next time, you died. Awesome, right? It's super easy. Just get in the same color or you die. It also jumped back and did a charge. If you were standing in front of it, you died. It was so good. I loved this fight. There was a lot of people that didn't. I love this fight. My favorite fight of the expansion. Out of all the bosses, this was my favorite fight. Let's go ahead and go into the next raid. Skipping ahead, we went to Nighthold. Nighthold was a disaster for my raid guild, and a guild breaker for my guild that I was currently in. It was a guild breaker for most of the guilds out there. A lot of guilds just, you know, it wasn't good for most of the guilds. A lot of guilds broke up after this raid tier. The problem with this raid tier, there was some interesting fights. There were some great things about it. The problem with this raid tier was there was really no progression. And I know that might not make sense, but some of these bosses, you could have, let's just, for example, 900 eye level and kill a boss in 3 minutes, and then have 950 eye level and kill it in 2 minutes and 50 seconds. It just made no sense, right? It was just, there was a lot of things behind different abilities, and it did not make just the burn phase faster. Because that's the fun part of, for me, is over-gearing dungeons and just smashing them. Making yourself look like the hero of the dungeon, right? You're just destroying things. And with Nighthold, that wasn't the case. We had a lot of issues with this in our the guild that I was in. Our leader of the guild, he'll come on eventually, and he plays every now and then. But he quit after this tier. Did he quit during? I think he quit during when we stopped raiding. We never, as a guild, we got normal Gul'dan down, but we never got heroic Gul'dan down as a guild, which was kind of sad. But it was a game breaker for for my guild, so I do not have great experiences with that. Let's skip over Tumor Sargeras. Tumor Sargeras was a Looney TNT will try to resurrect the guild, and it did not go very well. You know what? It did go really well. I had a lot of fun times in this raid. I really enjoyed this raid. The problem with this raid was it was Tomb of Sargeras, right? This raid had the most soaking mechanics I've ever seen. Most of these bosses in certain different difficulties, you had to soak something. Especially with this guy, Kil'jaeden. Kil'jaeden was a soak machine. Looking for raid was the most painful thing to do when you were doing this, right? Looking for raid was absolute just... For some reason, Blizzard thought it would be a great idea. If someone missed a soak, it still did a lot of damage, and it still gave the dot. It was a disaster. Fallen Avatar. Mythic guys hated him. I think normal and heroic guys loved him. I thought this was a great fight. It was a fight that... It was an easier fight. I love when giant dudes are like halfway out of the ground, you know, and they just like smash things and we fall through the floor. I thought this was a great fight. Like I said, the Mythic guys, they had their hands full with this guy. This one right here, Maiden. Wow. This was a pug killer. And like I talked about, Looney TNT trying to get the raid together. There was probably a good group of 5 of us, maybe 6 of us, that would always consistently show up when we'd had to pug the rest. And this boss was the hardest for us, I feel. This and this girl right here. You guys know her? Yeah. Stand in the beam. No. Yeah. Yep, I'm right. I'm looking at this boss. I'm like, is that? No, that's not the guy. Stand in the, what's it called? Where is it called? Hydra shots. Stand in the Hydra shot. We wiped on this on Heroic. It was a difficult thing for pug players to get. It was a pain. But overall, you know what? This was a great raid, I feel. The scenery was, super cool. Going for the different, it was just, everything about this raid was really good, other than the soaking part of it. Let's go ahead and go to the current raid that we are in right now. I know I'm skipping a bunch, but we'll go back and we'll discuss. This raid tier was said to be the easiest raid tier. Hey, this guy's got legs? I didn't even know he had legs. If you've ever done the raid, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But, this was said to be the easiest raid of the entire expansion. And the easiest end raid in a very long time, if not ever, right? I thought it was good. I thought the difficulty level, it was easier, but man, the last couple tiers that we went through, we needed an easy raid. There were so many guilds broken this expansion. And guilds are always broken, but there was a lot this expansion broken, and this raid, I feel, was still a great raid. I still think they did amazing things with it. The first boss, easy. Second boss, Dogs, was an interesting fight. High Command, I hate it. I really hate that fight, and I always will. We had a Portal Keeper, which was an interesting thing. The Dungeon Defense, which was an easy fight on Heroic and Normal. It's super easy. it's like a loot ship from Wrath of the Lich King, you know, the boat boss. This guy right here, the beam that this guy throws out killed so many players and still does. For the people that understand that, it's yeah, you got balls spinning around. He's throwing laser beams at people. Fun fight. It was actually really cool. I think they did a good job with that. This guy right here, Patchwork. I love him as a DPS. Hate him as a tank. The Mercy, it's a Mercy debuff. It has to be so quick on the taunts. They have to be so good. And, you know, it's not like it's a hard boss, but it's, I hate having to be, all right, let me pay attention. All right, no. Oh, not that ability. Okay. Here we go. Taunt. Got it. All right, I'm safe. I don't like it. Coven. Hate this fight. This fight is, it's a cool fight if you have good people raiding with you. If you have a few bad people raiding with you, it is horrible. Dodge the big guys. Get a root, get a free, dodge them. You know, other than that, I didn't really like that fight very much. Agrimar. I saw the coolest comic thing on Reddit today about this boss. I want to blow it up and hang it on my wall. It was a picture of looking for raid, and they were like, this is what happens when people don't know this boss on looking for raid, and everybody's getting like hit, and the tank's off to the side when it turns around and does his like rend, and then they're like, after 5 wipes, then everybody stacks, and it was such a good thing. But this was I've tanked this, I've DPS this, and I've healed this. Just a normal fight for me. I didn't feel anything was really super new on this fight. Stacking and getting hit, I don't know. I think we did that on Raw Face? Was it? No, it's not Raw Face. It was one of the two dudes that we had to turn and like get hit by the ooze and stuff. So I've done it before. So a lot of these mechanics are reused all the time, but just wasn't an interesting fight for me. Unless you're doing like the ads and stuff, I guess whatever. All right, Argus the Endmaker. I thought it was a cool fight. I did. If you can beat Agrimar, you can beat this this boss. This was a cool fight, and I loved how we could get rezzed by a tree. I don't know. That was my favorite part about it. Other than that, you know, like I said, they do have some normal things about the encounter, but you get rezzed by a tree, and that was cool. So that was the raid. Now, we had more things happen in this expansion. We had the broken... Is this the Broken Shore? Yeah, because this is the Broken Isles. The Broken Shore. Let's see if I can click this. The Broken Shore, this is when Tomb of Sargeras. This is the raid here. And it gave us like a mini zone to go through. I did not like this. I felt this was an extra little like... I'll do the world boss. Nether shard grinding was a pain. But it did add one great thing. And that was the Mage Tower. The Mage Tower is a great addition. And I hope they continue to do stuff like this. The Mage Tower, if you guys don't know, is a harder little scenario that is a solo scenario that you have to defeat, and you got a cool artifact skin for your weapon. And going into the next raid, if you do not complete the Mage Tower, you will never get those artifact skins. I just got it done on the Bear Tank. I got it done on my Havoc Demon Hunter. I can care less to do on anybody else. But those were the two skins I wanted. I wanted the Bear, and I wanted the Flaming Glaives. And I got both of those. I'm debating on doing it on my Prot Paladin because I do like the mace that it has. We'll see. But the Nether Shard grind was stupid. So my thinking was we're going to be able to kill stuff over and over and over and get Nether Shards. And then they nerfed it. They changed it so many times in the expansion that I was like, I'm not even doing nether shards anymore. It was just ridiculous. I think if they didn't change that, I would have loved this place because I would have been able to grind, get the gear that I had to buy, and it would have been good. But I hated the fact that they funneled you into like one thing to farm nether shards, and I didn't like it. So that was my rant about that place. But then we had the almighty Argus. We didn't even think we'd get this. This was a cool thing that happened at the end of Tomb of Sargeras when Illidan made that portal open up, or whatever it was, and Argus was chilling right there. So after you defeated Tomb of Sargeras, you had Argus. You looked up in the sky, and all you saw was Argus. And it was cool. It's like, yep, check this out, screenshot, you know? And then we finally got to go to Argus, and I liked it. I really did. It was another World Quest deal that we had to do, but it felt fresh, it felt fun, it felt rewarding. I loved the fact that we could, the catch-up gear, we could buy the 910 gear, and it had a chance to Titan Forge up to the highest level. We'll talk about Titan Forging also. But, I love this place. The storyline, the first time you did it was, oh man, the I-beam from Illidan. So many things happened here. It was great, you know? It was, can I click out of here? It was, just fantastic. The one thing that I did not like was they time-gated it. So, like, this one came out week 1, week 2, or vice versa, week 2, or that one, maybe that was the first one. And then this one finally came out later on. Came out with a new dungeon, and I don't even do that dungeon, you know, but it was, overall, I think the whole thing was great on that. So, adding the new content in throughout the expansion, they did a super fantastic job. Everything was super fast. Sometimes I felt it was too fast. Let's talk about Titan Forging. After Titan Forging, we'll talk about PvP, because I know I haven't talked about PvP much, and we're definitely going to get into that. Titan Forging. Titan Forging was very unique this expansion. We've had War Forging and I forget what they called it, and Throne of Thunder, Thunder Forging or something like that. But this was very interesting because we had the ability, check that out, to Titan Forge. Now, what is Titan Forging? Titan Forging is, think of an item we get from a dungeon. Let's say the dungeon drops a 900 piece of loot. That is the baseline. Well, you get to roll a dice. Just imagine this. You get to roll a dice, and for every time you hit a 6, it goes up 5 eye levels. Until it can hit the max eye level, which is 985. You can get very, very lucky. Obviously, you're not going to roll a 6 every time. So maybe you only roll once, or twice, or 3 times, and so on, right? But you can get it up all the way. So that makes doing everything doable. And you continue to run the old raids. You continue to run the old dungeons. You continue to do everything over and over and over and over and over and over for a chance of Titan Forging. Which, in my opinion, killed the tier set. Tier sets that we have today are going to be different than tier sets we have going forward. I don't even think I have any tier sets on the Demon Hunter. Okay, so let's say we have this mask. This can Titan Forge up to 985. If I had this set 985, I'd take it over the new set that we have in the new raid. There was the problem. So we had people doing two set here, 2 set here, and a 2 set here, or a 2 set here and a 4 set here. It just got crazy, and that's kind of what killed tier sets. You know, it's a cool concept. I like the idea. And if they took it away, I'd probably be upset. I'd probably be upset that I couldn't get that Titan Forge 985, right? But I'm a little disappointed it's there also. So I'm just glad I'm not a developer and had to choose to keep it in or take it out. That was Titan Forging. One thing before we get into PvP, I saw this, that 960 I got that out of a chest also. So what they did with Mythic Pluses, which was the best idea. I hope they keep this in forever. You got to do a max dungeon that gave you max loot, which was a 15 for the last expansion, or the last patch. And you got a 960 baseline piece of gear after you did a 915 every Tuesday on reset. Fantastic. This has a chance to Titan Forge also, but this was the carrot on the stick that kept me doing a Mythic Plus dungeon every single week. I don't care to do a 15. Why would I do a 15? I'm not doing a 15. Oh, I have to do a 15 because I need that item. I hope they keep it in the next expansion. It was the carrot on the stick that I loved. Do not take that away from me, Blizzard, please. All right. Last thing we're going to talk about, because there's so much more that I'm missing, but the last thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about PvP. Yeah. PvP. Also, Sargeras stabbed Azeroth with a giant sword. Yeah, that happened too. I thought that was cool. But I said that because we also got a new battleground from that, right? So, kind of. I haven't even done the new battleground, to be honest. I got to do it. That shows you how much involved with PvP I am. I haven't even done the new the battleground. The reason for it is because the PvP system was broken. I love PvP. I want to get as many honorable kills as I can. But this system was a garbage system. Now, they had great ideas. You see these honor talents? These honor talents you would unlock. These are all different abilities. The problem with these abilities is you can only use them in PvP. So let's say you have these all on your bars. You can never use them unless you're doing PvP. So a lot of times your bars are just cluttered with nothing when you're trying to do World Quest. So I did not like that. Also, you had to level all the way up to 50 to get your last ability. Sometimes the last ability for certain classes was a make or break ability. So players couldn't even be the best that they could when they're trying to PvP unless they level all the way up. With the Prestige system. The Prestige system was a fantastic idea. I felt it was a great idea. But it was not account bound. Or account wide. Account bound. It was not account wide. Which made it the worst thing ever. If they made the Prestige system account wide, I would have grinded out and tried to max my Prestige. Because I like to PvP on all my characters. I do not like to PvP just on one character. So the fact that they didn't do a account-wide Prestige system was horrible. Battlegrounds. They did not release a new Battleground until the end of the expansion. I'm out of PvP. I'm not doing PvP. I have not done the new Battleground. Dueling is dead. Because you have templates and all this other weird stuff. It was insane. It did not make sense. A 900 eye level player is just a little bit weaker than a 200,000 eye level player. That's being very exaggerated. But you can see what I'm saying. When you both got in that battleground or that arena or anything, you did not have a big advantage that you would think you would. It's like, oh, this guy... Oh, you just hit 110. You're dead. I'm going to kill you. No. Oh, you just hit 110? All right. Well, this is going to be competitive if you're a good player, which is no fun. You might be thinking, well, that's how it should be. This isn't Call of Duty. This is World of Warcraft. This is a gear-based game. The better gear you have, the more damage you do. That's what it was supposed to be, and it wasn't like that. So I did not agree with the way they did that. I did not. The brawl system, I love the brawl system. They did a great job with the brawl system. The only thing that I thought they did good with PvP this expansion was the brawl system. Other than that, I just did not feel it. It was not good. And these arenas, like, we can queue up for arenas and stuff, but here's the thing with the arenas. I feel if I go to Find Group, all these players want 2K, 2.2, you know, look at that. All this crazy stuff going on. You know what they should have done? They should have done it just like Mythic Plus, where you could go start a dungeon and you can set a minimum eye level. If you can set a minimum ranking, that would have been amazing. And this eye level, you cannot go, like, I can't put 970, like, watch, 980. No, I can't do that. You know why? Because you're not 980. So if you did the same thing with a ranking system, it would have been great. Alright. Long video. A lot of stuff I talked about. A lot of stuff I missed. Overall, this was I'd have to say a great expansion. They did so many things correct. They added in so many new things that worked out so good. Mythic Plus is going to be a staple in World of Warcraft until it dies. It made dungeons relevant again. They added, like, so you guys know how when you do an expansion, the dungeon difficulty is the dungeon difficulty until the end of the expansion, right? They switched that. They were like, no, it's getting too easy. We're bumping it up a level. And they made it give better gear and everything. They did the best that they've ever done with dungeons. Whoever was doing the dungeons this round, you know, they give them a raise, because that's what made Legion Legion. Mythic Plus, the dungeon system, it kept everything relevant. It was amazing. They've done a lot of bad things. But I think the great things will outweigh the bad. The bad are just, you know, people are always going to talk bad about the bad because it's easy. But overall, I'd have to say this was one of the better expansions. Definitely made up for Warlords of Draenor. Warlords of Draenor was... Oh, please don't fight me right now. Please don't fight me. Okay. I was going to say I was going to have to get in some World PvP. Hopefully I didn't die for the video. So, that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. There was a lot of stuff I missed. What was the best thing and the worst thing for you in the expansion? Leave it in a comment. Make sure to leave your questions, because I'm going to be making that Q&A video. All that other fun stuff. Very long video, I know, but I appreciate you guys sticking around. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, in the comment, I want you to leave Demon Hunter for life. That's what I want you to leave in your comment. Somewhere. It doesn't matter. Leave your comment. Tell me the best and the worst. And then add in Demon Hunter for life. And I'll know you made it all the way to the end of the video. Alright, guys. Till the next expansion. In 8 months. I will talk to you guys soon.